Hi everyone and very good morning. Welcome back to Crack Grade B. So today we are going to start a new schemes that will be based on Ministry of Tribal Affairs, right? So we have already talked about it that there are for different sections of our society we have got different ministries. Your scheduled caste people as well as the OBC people, all of them, they come under the Ministry of your Social Justice. But here we'll be talking about the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. So first of all, we'll be starting with some facts and then we'll shift on to the schemes that are important under this particular ministry, right? So important facts are they will be related to the population, in which particular state you are having higher number of scheduled tribe population, like that. So why these are important? You should be having at least a minimum idea of what we are going to study, right? So first of all, as per census 2011, let's see, 8.6% of ST population is there in India. This figure is as per census 2011. Of course, the situation is now changed, but population is also increasing of ST population, STs, but we do not have the data right now. Next is 23% growth has been compared as compared to the census 2001. Madhya Pradesh has got the highest ST population in India and literacy rate is 59%. Now if you compare it with our national literacy rate, this is quite less. Lakshadweep 94.8% and Mizoram 94.4%, they have got the highest percentage of ST population. Now right now we just talked that Madhya Pradesh is having highest ST population, and now why we are talking about this? So the problem over here is, or the comparison which is being made over here is, Madhya Pradesh has got the highest number of ST population in terms of numbers, right? That means absolute population. When we say that, okay, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, these are the absolute number. But when I am comparing the total population with the ST population, that is called as a percentage population, right? So on percentage basis, we have got Lakshadweep and Mizoram, those who are having the highest percentage of ST population in India. No listed STs are there in the 5 states or UTs. What are these? Punjab, Chandigarh, Haryana, Delhi, Puducherry. They are listed STs. You will not be able to find out. When I see Punjab, I remember for data where what we read in the scheduled caste related thing. Can you tell me what is the data related to the Punjab? Just try to remember this. Now we are moving ahead and talking about our scheme of grant in aid that we provide to the voluntary organizations which are working for the welfare of the scheduled tribes. So such like schemes are there. We will be having just enough idea about this particular scheme. Apart from that, what they are going to do, etc., etc. Fine. So this particular scheme was launched in 2008. What was the objective of this scheme? So objective is we should enhance the reach of government schemes so that we can improve the tribal's health, education as well as the other parameters. Okay, agro horticulture productivity, social security, etc. Such components will be seen and such components will be focused on to. Next is which voluntary organizations will be eligible. So what we are doing under this particular scheme, government is bringing out so many what you can say schemes for the tribes, right? But these schemes should be able to reach the tribes in a enough and a sufficient manner. For that we have to take the help of voluntary organizations, and these voluntary organizations, not everyone can impanel themselves. For voluntary organizations also we have got an eligibility criteria. And what is that eligibility criteria? Any registered voluntary organizations, NGO, those who are doing the work of social welfare of STs, and they should be have been registered for the last 3 years. So this is the requirement for them. Apart from that, there is some organization related requirement as well. What is organization related requirement? These organizations should be set up under either registered under the Societies Registration Act, or they should have been a trust. So these are the requirements which are related to the organization. Now moving ahead and talking about Here, all of this you have studied. Now, this is the point that you should be having focus on. The extent of assistance under this scheme is going to be 100% for those projects which is being implemented in the scheduled areas. If there are projects which are not being implemented in scheduled areas other than scheduled areas, for that particular point, we are going to give 90% of the total project cost. 90% of total project cost will be given by the government. Now, what is the difference between scheduled area and non-scheduled area? Scheduled area means all those areas which are identified as the tribes inhabited areas. In these areas, the majority of the population is of the tribes. So, we have identified them as the scheduled areas. And if the project is being implemented in scheduled areas, then 100% funding will be provided by the government. Apart from them, if the project is being implemented in non-scheduled areas, then government is going to provide just 90%. I hope that is enough. Now, next scheme that we have is called as MSP for MFP. Minimum support price for the minority forest produce. Now, what happens under this? Let me tell you. So, you all know that in India, we give the support to the farmers as well. The farmers that they grow rice, there are so many listed crops. For that, government recommends the your MSP, that this is going to be the minimum selling price. So, on the same concept, government has also said that okay, tribes are also collecting minor forest produce, right? So we should be declaring MSP for them as well, so that it benefits them. Let's see what is this. So approximately 100 million of the forest dwellers, they depend on the minor forest produce. Why they depend? Because they collect it, they use it for the food, they use it for any kind of others, they sell it, and they make any kind of supplementary income also. So it is very important for them. That is why government has brought out this particular scheme. About 20 to 25% forest dwellers, they depend on minor food products for minus forest products for their food requirements as well. We are going to see that what are minor forest produce as well with a detailed definition, but just focus over here what the government is trying to do over here, which is the implementing agency. Only small parts of the information is required for you in your examination. Let's see. It was approved in 2013, correct? Why we have approved it? So that we can give the fair returns to the MFP gatherers. Fair returns means, see, they are collecting this, and sometimes what happens, because they do not have the idea, they do not have the education, so what they do, their product is taken away by some traders and some intermediaries at lower rates. So once they'll be having an idea that okay, this is the minimum selling price which the government is mandating, after that they are going to sell their products at a higher rate. So this is how we are what you can say, empowering them. Now let's see who is going to monitor. So Ministry of Tribal Affairs in association with TriFed will monitor the performance of designated state agencies, as well as they are going to review it periodically. Fine. There is a pricing cell that has also been constituted under the TriFed, which is going to take care about the prices. It is going to determine, it is going to give the recommendations on the what can be the minimum selling price, and for that it is going to do the surveys. So this is what is being written over here. The prices will be determined by the baseline surveys for the minor forest produced. Okay. Now revolving fund, it is going to be operated at the state level for upfront payment for procuring minor forest produce for initial 2 years, that is 75 to 25 basis. State and center, they are going to contribute like this. Now there are key points for communication as well as other advanced things. There is a platform, you can remember the name of this particular platform. This is called as MFP Net. And why this platform is there? To provide the advanced information as well as the communications, right? Now, there are currently 49 items which are covered under this particular scheme, not very important for us. Next, activities what are going to be provided under this. So, expansion of storage and trading, modernization of huts, creation of storage facility, capacity building of Gram Sabha, etc., etc. All these things, all these facilities will be provided. Now what is minor forest produce for us? This includes all non-timber forest produce. Non-timber forest produce means there are trees, devdar, oak, pine, teak, sal, these are all called as the timber forest produce. So apart from these particular things, every other product that the person takes from the forest or derives from the forest will be categorized under the minor forest produce, like your bamboo, canes, fodder, leaves, gums, wax, dyes, resins, etc., etc. The aim of this particular scheme is just to provide the good returns to the forest dwellers who are doing the work of collection of forest produce. So I hope this scheme is also clear. Now moving ahead to our next scheme. Now the schemes we want to improve the education related criterias as well as the educational performance of our scheduled tribes girls in low literacy districts. So this schemes pertains to that. It was launched in 2008, fine, and the aim of us in this is that we want to bridge the gap in literacy levels of general female population and the tribal women, right? More focus will be in those particular districts which are having the low literacy. This scheme is going to be implemented in 54 identified districts where the ST population is 25% or more, and the female literacy of the scheduled tribes females, that is less or below 35%. So this is going to be the our coverage, identified area of coverage. Next is how this is going to be implemented. So let's see, we are going to take the help of your voluntary organizations as well as the autonomous societies, right? The financial support that is going to be provided will be lying in the form of your stipend like thing, right? Or this you can also call it stipend, scholarship, etc., whatever name you want to call it. Just let's see the purpose of this. Cash stipend will be provided at the rate of 100 rupees per month for primary level girl student and 200 rupees per month for the middle or secondary level girl students for coachings as well as the tuitions. There is also cash incentive at the rate of 100 rupees per month at primary level and 200 rupees per month at the middle and secondary level, so that their day-to-day requirements can be met. At the same time, ministry is also going to support the innovations by any particular organization. If you are innovating like how you can educate the girls in the tribal areas, right? So for that component also maximum 1% of the annual budget can be used. For example, I'll tell you how innovation can be there in the education. So during the times of COVID, if you remember, there were certain various news articles that told us that in the villages what was happening, the teachers as well as the other people, they were painting the walls. In villages you have the homes that are separate, right? So the walls of the outside of home, outside of schools, where it can be seen by various peoples, the walls were being painted. So anyone who can come can get the education, or anyone who wants to learn something can learn things like ABCD, the names of your number schemes, etc., the names of animals, birds, etc. So this was quite innovative. This is how, if any kind of innovation comes, then ministry is also going to support it. For day-to-day requirements as well as the coaching requirements, the funding related support will be provided. I hope that is clear. 2% of the budget is also going to be utilized for the management and monitoring, not very required. You just have to remember this. Funding for special tuitions, funding for day-to-day requirements as well as the innovation related component, 1% will be provided. Now next is the EMRS. EMRS is Eklavya Model Residential School. So why we have established these schools? Obviously, the schools are there for the ST population. Some non-ST population will also be allowed, but that is restricted, fine. that is a restricted thing. EMRS, under EMRS you are just focusing on the ST students, so that how much of a good education you can provide to them. It was launched in the year 1997 and the objective lies in providing middle and high level education from class 6 to 12 to scheduled tribes and PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups in the remote areas. Government of India, they have also announced in the budget of 2018-19 that by the year 2022 every block means the block is the unit of village, a unit that is having several number of villages under it. So block is identified like that. There will be a number of villages under the particular block. So at every block level where there is a population of more than 50% of scheduled tribes and at least 20,000 tribal persons. So population has been given in percentages also and in numbers also. कम से कम 20,000 ट्राइबल लोग या आपके ब्लॉक में अगर 50% of the population is into the ST category, then these EMRS should be there. EMRS is Eklavya Model Residential School. Now under this we are going to see that how the government supports. So they are going to be set up in the states and UTs and the grants will be provided under Article 275 of the Constitution. Article 275 of the Constitution talks about the grant being given by the center to the states. Fine. Now some of the key features. The number of seats for the boys and girls, they are going to be equal. The education is going to be entirely free, and then there are section wise strength is also given, but we do not have to focus on that. They have said that in one class there are going to be only 30 students, and for that we should be making the sections of maximum 60 students, correct? 10% of the seats. Now this is an important topic, that apart from the scheduled tribes, other students can also take the EMRS, but there are some caveats in it. What are those caveats? Let's see that. 10% of the seats in EMRS, they can be filled up by the non-scheduled tribes candidates, shall not exceed the total strength of 480. So you have to provide the 10% reservation that you are providing within this particular 480. You cannot go beyond than this. 480 multiplied by 10%, that means maximum of 48 seats you can provide to the non-scheduled tribes students as well. Even in that you have to give a preference. What kind of preference? So priority will be given to the staff of the children who are there in the EMRS, who are working in the EMRS. So for those children you have to provide a reservation, and then the people whose parents have lost in the left-wing extremism or insurgencies, children of widows as well as children of Divyang parents. So basically in this also we are focusing on the weaker sections, all those people who are not scheduled tribe people but still their children are suffering. So all those children, they are eligible under this to study in this particular school. Provision of reservation of 20% seats under sports quota is also there. Minimum land will be 15 acres. Now we are going to see the support. See, capital cost for the school complex, it will be 12 crores with a provision to go up to 16 crores in the hills, deserts, etc. That means the capital cost which I am talking about, see, one is the construction of building and the other thing is putting the things into the building. You need the science lab, you need computers lab, you need other items of assets as well in order to run the school. So for that the provision has been provided for the 12 crores and it can go up to 16 crores in the difficult areas, right? After that, for the building of the school there is again a construction grant that is going to be provided. So construction grant of 20 crore per school with an additional 20% for the hills, deserts as well as the difficult areas, it is going to be provided. Okay, amount of 2% is going to be used for the administration and recurring cost for the first year of schools 42,000 is going to be provided. You have to remember this cost related component. Now how one can apply? So National Testing Agency is going to invite the online application, and through which if you want to seek the admission in the EMRS, then this is the route through which you can take the admission. That means the National Testing Agency route. So this particular thing we have already read. You have to read these two things. I guess this is not very important, but yes, it gives an idea that how you can handle the questions. So Madhya Pradesh, it has got the highest Eklavya model residential schools, and obviously you also know why, because Madhya Pradesh is the state which is having the highest ST population in the numbers. If I say in numbers, so Madhya Pradesh has got the highest ST population. Next is by 2025, it is going to be it is expected that all 740 schools will be becoming functional. Right now we are having 367 Eklavya model residential schools in our country. Now next we have Pradhan Mantri Vandhan Yojana. Okay, so this was launched in the year 2018. The nodal agency is the TriFed. What is the full form of tribal and what kind of organization is this? Is it a statutory organization, constitutional organization, or executive kind of organization? You guys have to find out and you guys have to tell me. Remember this, TriFed. What is the full form? What kind of organization is this? Please find out and tell me. So what is the scheme? Pradhan Mantri Vandhan Yojana. This particular scheme is basically what we want to do. We want to harness the Vandhan. Vandhan means, understand this, there are so many products that are derived from the forest, right? With simple kind of processing or by applying simple kind of labor, we can convert them into the saleable items. The items which can be marketed, which can be sold. So this is going to give the extra income that the tribes need. So with that particular intention, under the Pradhan Mantri Vandhan Yojana, government is elaborating as well as implementing Vandhan Kendras. These Vandhan Kendras, they are going to teach our scheduled tribes people how they can process their products in a much better way. I hope you do understand about what is called as primary processing, right? So under this particular scheme, we want to teach the tribal people primary processing. So the coverage of this particular scheme, let's see, 27 states excluding the Punjab and Haryana where the no scheduled tribes are notified, right? 307 districts with a majority tribal population. Now remember, 5 states and UTs we were talking about where there is no notified scheduled tribe population. Please remember, under the states, Haryana and Punjab are the two states which are not having any listed scheduled tribe. And what about the UTs? You have already studied and try to remember them. Correct? 6,000 Vandhan Vikas Kendras is going to be set up in the each year, which will be further continued. 6,000 is in 2 years and 3,000 in each year. These will be continued based on the evaluation on their performance, right? 18 lakh families are going to be benefited from this. 90 lakh tribal individuals will be assumed with a family size of 5 members. This has been assumed. So these particular figures you do not have to remember. You just have to remember that yes, Vandhan Vikas Kendras are going to be established. With that, Kendras are going to be act as a common facility center for the procurement cum value addition to locally available minor forest produced. We have already talked about a scheme called MSP for MFP, right? So minor forest produce will be taken up, that will be processed. So why we are focusing on Vandhan Kendras? So in these Vandhan Vikas Kendras, we are going to process the minor forest produce that is available and we want to market it and we want to make it as a saleable item. Now out of the 3,000 Vandhan Kendras which are going to be set up in first year, 2,100 will be estimated to be converged from Ajivika mission. That was the earlier mission. Now the criteria for qualification, SHG should comprise of MFP gatherers. They should have a minimum of 50% of the tribal members as well as they should be present in the catchment area of minor forest produce. That means the area from which the forest produce is coming, they should be present in that particular area. That means they should be local. They should be local residents and they should be collecting that minor forest produce. Cost per Vandhan Vikas Kendras is estimated to be 15 lakh rupees. All Vandhan SSGs, they will have to be desirably contribute funds from their own corpus as well, like from 20,000 to 50,000 in tune of working capital. The cost requirement is calculated at the unit of 1 lakh per Vandhan SSG for a cluster of 15 SSGs per Kendras, right? So this is the amount that is needed in form of the working capital that needs to be brought out by the SHGs as well. Next is a typical Vandhan Kendra shall constitute a 15 tribal Vandhan self-help group SHGs. Very important. So per Vandhan Kendras, you are going to establish the 15 SHGs. In Vandhan Kendras, 15 SHGs are there. What is the eligibility in order to form? You have already seen this, right? At least 50% of the beneficiaries shall be tribal and they shall be led by a tribal member. So these are the requirements of Vandhan Vikas Kendras scheme. You have seen that how many Vandhan Kendras we are going to establish, right? What are the eligibility requirements? What are the cost per Vandhan Kendra? It has been estimated that it is going to be 15 lakh. Why 15 lakh? Because 15 SHGs will be operational and 1 lakh per SHG we are estimating that this is going to be the cost in order to operate. Now next scheme that we have is called as the Tri-Food. So this particular initiative is a cumulative effort by your Ministry of Food Processing and Industry and Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Both of them are coming together with the TriFed, and what we are going to do? We are going to do the value addition to the minor forest produce. But why we have called as the Tri-Food? So the Tri-Food scheme, which is implemented in the backdrop of Vandhan Yojana, it is going to promote value additions to the MFP. Under this particular scheme, you will going to be noticed that the reputed food processors will be operating these facilities for the designated time period. Why? Because we want to take the experience that is there with the reputed food processors and we want to process the food for the further benefit. Now in this process, local opportunities will also be provided. About 25% of the total raw material is expected to be sourced locally. Locally means wherever the plant has been established, we are going to source the food products from there itself. So it is going to provide the employment to the minor forest produced gatherers as well. All those people who gather minor forest produce for the living, they will get an additional employment opportunities due to this particular scheme. Now what kind of commodities will be processed? Mahua, amla, jamun, custard apple, cashew, tamarind, garlic and other fruits and vegetables. Why we did not talk about in the Vandhan Vikas Kendras? Because in Vandhan Vikas Kendras we are talking about the upgradation as well as value addition for every kind of item. But under the Tri-Food we are specifically focusing on the food related component. Okay. Now next see the next scheme that we have called as the Van Bandhu Kalyan Yojana. See, so first of all we are going to see why this Van Bandhu Kalyan Yojana. What is the scheme focus on? So this scheme focuses on giving a better quality of life, education, infrastructure and protecting the tribal culture. So these are all the various objectives for this Van Bandhu Kalyan Yojana has been brought in, right? So it was introduced as a central sector scheme under the annual plan of Ministry of Tribal Affairs. It was formally launched for the implementation since the year 2014. Now what are the components under this Van Bandhu Kalyan Yojana? You see All these components are the general component what we want to improve in the tribal life. One Bandhu Kalyan Yojana, you just have to remember that okay, what kind of scheme is this, under which particular ministry it is, and what we are going to do. So there is nothing extraordinary over here. These are all the facilities which are available for the general population of India, but not available for to the tribal population, or inaccessible for the tribal population because of the their you can say their educational backwardness, as well as their way of living that is not very assimilating with the general population of India. So you see, we are going to provide the quality higher education under this, health for all, housing for all, safe drinking for water, irrigation facilities, electricity, urban development, promotion, conservation of tribal culture, as well as sports. All these things, all those activities that we perform for the general population. You know, we have a scheme for called as PM Awas Yojana. You know, we have called Jal Jeevan Mission, right? Such kind of missions. We also have got Saubhagya Mission, we have got PM Ujjwala. So all these schemes that are there for the general population, we want to provide the facilities to the tribes also. So these are all the generic things. Now what is going to be the strategy? So implementation is, it is proposed to be implemented in one block having the scheduled 5 areas startingly, and then it was decided that 10 blocks were being selected for the low literacy criteria. The schemes was to be implemented through the state government, and it was decided that 10 crores will be released for each of the states. Now revised from 2016-17 onwards, the funds under this strategy have been fulfilled through Scheduled Tribe Components Fund of Central Ministries as an umbrella program of One Bandhu Kalyan Yojana. The revised VKI, it considers the following schemes: particularly vulnerable tribal group related support, minimum support price for minor forest produce, aid to voluntary organization, tribal festivals, monitoring and evaluation, and scheduled tribes related component. What I am saying to the under this, please understand this. I have told you that we have got the schemes for residence, right? For construction of residence. We have got schemes for the drinking water. We have got schemes for the electricity. We have got schemes for the agriculture related component as well, like PM Kisan we have, for example, correct? And there are so many schemes. So all these schemes, they are centrally sponsored or central sector scheme, whatever might be the case. So in this, these schemes have been launched for all the citizens of India. So whatever component is there for the scheduled tribes, that is going to be taken up from there, and it is going to be brought under a single umbrella scheme called as the One Bandhu Kalyan Yojana, right? So one scheme we have made for the tribals, and under this particular scheme we are going to provide them all kinds of facilities that they are deserving. So I hope this must be clear. Now next is Tribal Cooperative Marketing Development Federation of India. This is what I asked you, that what kind of organization is this. Whenever you are reading Ministry of Tribal Affairs, you cannot skip this particular organization. This is very important. So this was formulated in the year 1997, right? This is operating under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. What is the purpose of this particular organization? So all the kinds of development activities which are happening for the tribal artisans as well as tribal products, marketing them, making a network, implementing all these kinds of schemes. Now listen to me very carefully. TriFed works as an what you can say, leader organization. Leader organization means if the tribal people or the artisans, they are working on something, then this particular organization is going to support them in the network building. Apart from that, if your artisans etc., they are finding it difficult to market their produce, so this particular organization also provides a marketing related facilities. It markets their products. If you have ever heard about Tribes India, Tribes India. This is a brand name that we have, and under that the products which have been made by the tribes, these are marketed over here. If you want to purchase any kind of tribes made product that is authentic, that has been made with the hands, etc., etc., so you can go to Tribes India and you can buy that. Now next is the what are the functions. So it plays the dual role of market developer as well as a service provider, that I have told already. It is involved in the activities of capacity building of the tribal people. What is meaning of capacity building? So by providing them the training, by formulating them into the SSGs, right? We just have seen various schemes of the TriFed. Under that, TriFed is involved as a implementing organization. This also assists them in exploring the opportunities of the market, right? The activities are, what are the activities? So minor forest produce development, already seen that, correct? Retail marketing, I have already told you. Empanelment of tribal producers as well as tribal artisans, okay? And nodal agency for implementing the MSP for MFP as well as the One Dhan Vikas Karyakram. Please remember it, these 4 lines have summed up all the activities that your TriFed undertakes, right? Still there is one thing that is remaining. You should know that what kind of organization type it is it a constitutional body or a statutory body? What kind of body it is it a company, is it a partnership firm, is it a society or a trust? These 2 things you have to find out and you have to tell me. Next is National Scheduled Tribe Finance and Development Corporation. Such kind of corporation we have already seen for the scheduled tribe, scheduled caste as well as the backward class, right? We have already seen. So such kind of organization is also there for the scheduled tribe person. This is under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, right? Established in the year 2001. What is the aim of this particular organization? So providing each and every kind of support to the scheduled tribe population, which involves the finance. So it works for the socio-economic as well as the educational upliftment of the scheduled tribes, right? It also provides wide range of activities so that these can be uplifted socially. It provides the schemes which are operating under your National Scheduled Tribes Finance and Development Corporation. They also provide the loans to the poor at the concessional rate, and they help the tribal students so that they can pursue the higher education. You see, different kinds of support activities are performed by these particular organization. Now what are the management? Just a small piece of information, not very important, but yes, can sometimes be asked. So what you should see under this, you should see what are the exceptional things, right? So see, this corporation is managed by the board of directors, which is having the representation of state, central, as well as IDPI is exceptional, correct? The TriFed, okay, we understand that TriFed will be having a representation under this particular organization. We understand it, it is understandable, right? But IDBI and NABARD, in your examination, they can provide you in options that, okay, ICICI is the member. So this becomes confusing. So you should be remembering that, okay, in this organization, one organization is the member of the board of director, and in that particular board of director, which organizations representatives come? IDBI and NABARD. Please remember this. Next is Adivasi Mahila Sashakti Yojana. From the name only, it is very clear why we are implementing this particular scheme. We want the development of the tribal women. So with that particular intention, let's see. So it is an exclusive concessional scheme for the economic development of scheduled tribe women. What is the quantum of loan assistance? So up to 90% of the unit cost will be provided by the National Scheduled Tribe Finance and Development Corporation as a term loan, right? The loan needs to be repaid in the quarterly installments with a maximum period of 5 years, including the moratorium period. So this is one thing, 5 years is the maximum time period. Apart from that, quarterly installments, you see, monthly installments are not there, quarterly installments are there in order to support them further. This is going to be implemented by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. What are the key features under this particular scheme? Your scheduled tribes women, they can take the loan for any income generation activities. These are given up to 1 lakh per unit will be provided under the scheme, and 90% of the unit cost will be provided by the National Scheduled Tribes Finance Development Corporation as a term loan. It also provides loans with an interest rate of 2% for the state channelizing agencies and 4% for the beneficiaries. State channelizing agencies means those agencies which are providing the loans to such kind of women beneficiaries. So they also need funds somewhere so that they can give to the beneficiaries further on. So for them we have got 2% of the interest rate, and for the beneficiaries this organization is going to charge 4% of interest rates. The applicant should belong to tribes community above the age of 18 years. Income should not exceed 98,000 per annum and 120,000 per annum in the case of urban areas. 98 for the rural, 120 for the urban areas. This should be your maximum per annum income if you want to take the loan under this particular scheme. What else is confusing under this particular scheme? So nothing else, right? State channelizing agencies are there. State channelizing agencies which are going to help the scheduled tribe women to get the loans and provide them the loans. So if these particular state channelizing agency, they go to National Scheduled Tribes Finance and Development Corporation, then the interest charged to them will be a lower amount of interest. Fine. Next that we have is called Adivasi Shiksha Rin Yojana. Shiksha Rin Yojana. Now this, under this what we are going to talk about? We are going to talk about the educational loan related criteria. If you want to pursue the professional or and technical course, for that this particular scheme is there. This is an educational loan scheme. We are going to provide the financial assistance to the eligible STs so that they can pursue professional, technical as well as PhD related courses in India. This is very important. We are going to provide them this particular support if they are going to study in India for this. What is the quantum of assistance? So 90% of the expenditure subject to maximum loan amount of 5 lakh rupees per eligible family. Loan amount is quite less, but still, considering that the education is going to be sponsored in India only, this is not for going to abroad, so the quantum of amount is justified if you want to pursue the higher education in India. After the moratorium period, within next 5 years, whichever is earlier, subject to maximum period of the 10 years, your loan should be repaid. Course period plus 1 year or 6 months, whichever is earlier. In this particular scheme, this is going to be the moratorium period. Means during the course period, we are not going to demand you loan repayment. Even 1 year or 6 months after getting the job, whichever is earlier. That means, see, if you did not get a job, once you completed the course, after that 1 year will be counted. In case you did not get a job, still you have to repay the loan. And after the course, 6 months, in case you got the job, then the 6 months time period will be considered as a moratorium thing, and after that you are going to repay this particular loan. The beneficiaries, they have to be fulfill the eligibility criteria and comply with the conditions. Term loan amount is up to 5 lakhs, that has been told to you. Nothing else is required under here. Let's move out. Development of PBTGs. Nothing much under this particular scheme. We all know the few pointers, we already know about it. What are the PBDGs? Which are economically, socially backward people, right? Even in the tribal group, they are the most secluded one. They have not assimilated their living criteria. So this particular scheme was for them. Apart from that, in our country, 75 communities has been identified as the PVTG, right? They are found in the 18 states as well as the union territory, one union territory. and Orissa is having the highest number of PVTG population. So these were the factual data that we have understood in our previous classes as well, right? Funds will be given under this particular scheme for two major components. What are those two major components? Grant in aid as well as the creation of capital assets. 100% of the grants in aid will be provided to the state governments. So nothing else is there. You just have to understand that for the development of the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, this particular scheme has been brought in. You just have to remember some factual data that 75 PVTGs are there in these 18 states and one union territory of Andaman and Nicobar. Out of that, state of Orissa is having the highest numbers of PVTGs. Now next is GOAL. This is a relatively new scheme that has been brought in, going online as leaders. This was launched in the May 2020. That means the peak of COVID. Launched in peak of COVID. So obviously the intent of this particular scheme is to go online to harness the technical as well as the electronic related things. So we want to harness, we want to digitally empower 5,000 youths from the tribal communities in the next 5 years. See, what we are following under this is we are following the effect that once we educate 5,000 people, then these people are going to educate further more people like that. So we want to digitally empower them. The implementing agency is Facebook in partnership with the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. And the aim under this particular initiative is we want to mobilize 2,500 renowned people from the industry, correct? As well as so that they can mentor the tribal youths across India. You do not have to understand the whole of it. Just understand that you want to call out the people who have got repute, the people who are intelligent, like teachers, artists, right? People from the industry. These particular people are going to share their experiences with the youth, and so that these youth can be made as educationally empowered as well. Now let's see who all are the eligible. So any particular person who is from the tribes and having the age group of 18 to 35 of years, and those who are having keen interest in business, education, art, culture, dance, etc., politics, research, anything. If you are having research in it, you are going to study with us, as well as these, all of these will be provided over the technology. Over the technology means because obviously this was launched at the time of COVID. The 9 months or 36 weeks program, it includes the 7 months of mentorship and along with a 2 months of internship, so that the person should get the on ground experience. Mentorship in the areas like your digital literacy, life skills, leadership, entrepreneurship, anything that you want to get trained on. Ministry of Tribal Affairs has partnered with Ministry of Electronics, right? And youths from the tribal communities can visit their common service centers to apply for this particular program, because this particular scheme is being operated together. So I hope now you have understood the aim of this particular scheme. This program is going to select the 5,000 mentees as well as 2,500 mentor. That means each mentor is going to teach 2 tribal mentees. If you see the ratio over here. Next, you want to support, you want to leverage the digital tools, and you want to fulfill the Digital India aim. You want to promote village level digital leaders, people, youth, those who are having the digital literacy even in the village areas. That is how you are going to teach a whole generation of population, right? So a pilot run was done in the year 2019, not we have to remember about it. Then the goal 2.0, it was launched from the year 2020-22. Correct. Initiative is now Tribal Affairs as well as the Meta. Meta is the new name of Facebook. It was formerly Facebook. It is a digital empowerment program for the youth as well as the women, where they will be trained on the entrepreneurship, leadership as well as the other skills. Now the mentees in the first phase were provided with 40 plus hours of training across communication, digital presence, leadership, entrepreneurship, etc. So this is all what you have to remember. One more thing, that is the implementation will be done by under the Ministry of Electronics, Ministry of Electronics, right? The Education as well as a Research Network. This is a agency under the MEIT. This is going to implement this particular scheme. So this is what I wanted to discuss in today's lecture. The schemes were short but important, right? Few of the components you cannot miss it. It is very important. After that, there will be few more schemes that have been left under this particular ministry that will be going to wrap up tomorrow. I hope this was useful for you, and please do not forget to answer the questions which I have asked. And don't forget to like this video, and thank you so much.